What's going on, guys? Welcome back. It's another huge episode of Action Movie Anatomy here on the Popcorn Talk Network. Today, we are talking about the much-anticipated third installment in the John Wick franchise, Parabellum. We break it down for you guys right now.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Action Movie Anatomy.
You know, it doesn't matter that it's been 4 years. It's still awesome to hear the intro music.
It's always the best. Steph was ecstatic when she heard it last week.
I watched that. She loved it. She
very
was so
good.
It was adorable how excited she was.
I love her.
Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah.
She was really great on the show.
She was lovely.
I'm thinking I'm back.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say it.
Nice.
And
my bow.
and my bow. I wrote the outline or the email last night, and I put in Lord of the Rings, which we're covering in 2 weeks. As the episode we're covering next week, and I was like, oh no, or I guess next week. Yeah. We're in the future. We're pre-taping right now, so it's hard for me to figure that out.
There's big stuff happening. This is Action Movie Anatomy on the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network dedicated to talking movies, all things movie-related, and pop culture by the bucketful. This is a review of John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. So, things to talk about. First and foremost, you guys are watching this, or listening to this, on a Monday.
On a month? Oh, right.
What the hell's going on?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things that are going on. I'm gonna let you keep talking because I'm gonna ruin it.
Yeah. Are you okay?
I just I forgot that we're already shifting back to Monday from Wednesday, and then we're pre-taping for next week.
It's complicated.
There's so many moving parts.
We're in the middle of a time heist right now.
We are time heist.
So, so guys, this is airing on a Monday, and the reason is because Action Movie Anatomy is moving to a Monday. Now, by the time this is happening, you will have already heard this. We will have announced it, but this will be the first one.
Yeah.
Now, the reason is for scheduling, because Drew and I are available on Mondays. This is happening on a Monday because it's a brand new movie, and actually it's going to be better for us in the future to have our reviews of brand new movies come out on Mondays anyway, because why the hell should they wait till Wednesday if they're coming out after the weekend?
Yeah,
right?
we don't want to be like the late to the party.
Yeah.
No one knows what I'm referencing.
We don't want to have shows come out on Wednesdays on new movies like we've done for 4 years.
Yeah, no. We figured we would figure out what we needed to change to make these episodes track. We're moving to Monday.
We're really going to nip it in the bud here. So
try to get on top of things.
So you guys are watching or listening to this on a Monday, and this is going to be our review of John Wick Parabellum. So, other things to talk about.
Yep.
This is a show where we talk about action movies. Those are movies that adhere to 4 basic rules. Those were words I tried saying.
It's going to be a good one today.
Yeah, those movies adhere to 4 basic rules. Rule number 1, the hero and the villain is not the first rule. Rule number 1.
What's going on?
The hero always plays by their own rules, and John Wick is the hero, and John Wick plays by his own rules.
Yeah, John Wick's always played by his own rules. That's just kind of a thing about him.
Yeah. Rule number 2, the hero and the villain are always the smartest people, beings, things, dinosaurs, what have you in the room. Who's the villain in this movie?
I was just going to say, is the villain, is it Asia Kate Dillon? Is it Ian McShane? Is it, oh no.
Yeah.
Is it the other guy?
Ian McShane. You mean the table? Over table? The Sheik?
The table? The Sheik? God, what is his name? I feel so bad. I literally looked it up on the way here and forgot already.
That actor?
Yeah.
He's a recognizable actor.
Mark Dacascus.
Oh, I don't think we're supposed to know who Mark Dacascus is.
That's Zero. That's the main villain in the movie.
Mark Dacascus?
Yeah.
Are you sure that's how you say his name?
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not how you say his name.
Oh, that guy!
The main guy.
I thought you were talking about the guy in the desert who rehabilitates.
He's not a bad guy.
Yeah, he's not. He's not.
That's Riz Ahmed.
Nope. Guys, if it wasn't made clear to you, we are going to spoil the crap out of this movie for you. So that's happening. Turn this off if you haven't seen the movie, unless you just want to hear all about it.
Or we probably already spoiled it somehow.
Yeah. Rule number 2, the hero and the villain are always the smartest people beings. I mean, that guy, Dacascus, he's not the villain.
I think Asia Kate Dillon is the villain.
Kind of.
It seems like her. It really seems like they're the villain because they know what's going on at all times. They have an unlimited source of power. They are never actually in danger, it feels like.
Yes. I think just to make clear for the audience, because in case you guys are curious, Asia Kate Dillon identifies as a non-binary performer, person. So the reference of her or him is incorrect.
And if we do that, We are so sorry. We do not mean to do that.
I mean, there's not a lot of A-list or like primary actors and actresses, performers that you see that identify as non-binary. So it's not a phrase that we're really used to saying in conversation. So when referring to Asia Kate Dillon today, we will probably refer to Asia as Asia, they or them. In case we make a mistake, that's the reason, and that's the heads up on
and
that.
And we're already sorry. Because I think I already almost said she.
In case you guys didn't know, just because that's, again, in the discourse, the conversation that happens about like tier 1 movies, it's just not one we have that often. So
yeah, and when they came into the film, I was actually pretty okay with them coming in.
Yeah.
But when they spoke...
Yeah,
they lost a little ground with me.
Sure.
Because they just seemed super badass when they showed up.
Yeah, the look was very cool.
Yeah, but then honestly, they won me over throughout. Like they really did.
Yeah, I was convinced by the end. So Asia Kate Dillon is probably
I
the
really
smartest
think so.
person in the room, other than John Wick. Like,
I mean, and Ian McShane.
Yeah,
because he is never in a.
It's the high table. That's the villain.
They are the true villain,
and that's the smartest person in the room. Right,
which we don't even know. I mean, I guess we kind of know who the high table is now because we've seen the leader.
I'm pretty sure the actual smartest person in the room is the gap between Fishburne's teeth.
The close-ups on that when he's bug-eyeing out when he's angry is
what the hell is he doing in this movie?
I don't know.
There are things about this movie I can't wait to talk about because like this movie is absurd. The whole franchise is absurd in like the best possible way, but also in ways where you're just like, you guys were given so much rope on this.
Yes, so much rope and so much money, right? Like it was just like it had to have been like, hey, Larry, Ian, if you show up in the first one, we'll carry you through at least 3 more.
Right. They probably got back end points.
Yeah.
So rule number 3: the movie is driven by a police, military, political, or mercenary figure. He is a mercenary.
Yeah. Although he's been excommunicado.
Excommunicado.
I really liked excommunicado in the first one because it seemed kind of cool.
Yeah.
They keep saying it in this one so much that it seems silly a little bit.
A little bit. And rule number 4: the movie contains a minimum of 1 explosion. I feel like there must have been an explosion in this movie. Right?
Yeah, you would think so.
Some shit blew up probably.
That's what explosions are.
Grenades. There's flashbangs.
Oh yeah, there was. Yeah, there was. Those like those stun grenades.
Yeah,
a lot of them.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was also like Chad Stilisky being like, all right, we've got about $3 million extra.
What should we spend
it on? I know. We're going to have a choreographed dance with a SWAT team. It was pretty sweet, though.
Yeah, definitely. They're like, let's do real flashbangs. That's not a good idea.
Like, we shouldn't do that, Chad.
We blew off one of the PA's arms.
Keanu can't hear in one of his ears.
So yes, those are the rules of Action Movie Anatomy. Those are the kind of the things that qualify the movies. Coming up today on the show, we are going to be talking through a segment called The Action Guys Summarize, which I can't wait. It's going to be
we are going to
for this movie.
Yep, it's going to be real good.
We're also going to be talking about Over Siege, Under Siege, Properly Siege on Halle Berry's career and buying or selling on the John Wick franchise going forward because there is kind of a cliffhanger at the end suggesting probably a 4th movie. So those are the things that are coming up. A couple quick shout outs probably.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should shout out some brand new patrons at the $5 or above level. We got Ben Friedman and Eric Ritz. Gentlemen, we salute you.
I like that you said their names because they were easy to pronounce. It's the
I
first
like
time
to jump on it.
First time you've ever done that one
did.
before.
I did.
Nice. We've got Brandon Hanna in the room. You can't see him. He's on the couch, associate producer of the show. Brandon, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, he doesn't have his headset on.
He doesn't have his headset on.
I don't think he was expecting to talk today.
No, I just wanted to shout him out.
Yeah.
Just sitting here. He's just looking at us.
He's got some fresh kicks on.
Nice.
Yeah, I like
Look
those.
at that.
I like those.
So also we have Twitter, so you can find us there if you want to communicate with us. Communicado with us. You like that?
Stupid. You guys can find me at Andrew Guy. You can find the show at Team Action Show. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me at Ben Bateman Media on Twitter and on Instagram and the things. And we have a Patreon, patreon.com/Team Action. It's really for all kinds of things. Drew and I have the sweetest ideas for the 200th episode of this show, which is coming up here in probably like 5 or 6 weeks.
Yep.
And because now, we have this show, we have the Action Guys over at Collider, we have exclusive content we do on Patreon, the Schmodown stuff. We're going to do like a 200th episode week, I think.
Yeah.
And we don't really know what that's going to look like yet. We'll see what scheduling permits.
Ideally, it would be us releasing videos on our YouTube and our Patreon around our episodes of AMA and the Action Guys.
Yeah, there'd be special stuff. But we were talking about like doing all these sketches with like Nick Cage and Jerry B. And...
that my Amazon history is filled with looking for brown Widow Peaks.
Did you start
wigs.
looking for one?
I did. I didn't really find anything great yet.
Can't imagine you would if you looked at
it. like I'm pretty sure no one would buy that wig other than us. Yeah. so they don't make them really.
Business opportunity.
But I'm really excited for episode 200 coming up. What's really funny about this episode is that you and I have just played each other in Houston.
Yeah.
But we don't know who wins yet.
Oh, right. I forgot we're in the future.
We're in the future.
Because it's a live episode.
Yeah.
Normally, Schmodown is taped sometime before the episode airs. Because we're streaming live,
Yeah.
one of us won't have murdered the other one.
Yeah.
This could be an RIP show.
It's really good. One of us could be gone after this. Well, the funny thing is that, like, you got to imagine there would at least be a little bit of, like, not tension, because we both understand one of us has to lose, but, throwing jabs and, like, when I win, you're going to be so furious.
I already fully this morning while I was, like, running, I started thinking about it. I was like, okay, so after the match is over, what's the best course of action?
I know. It's like, how do we just go back?
Because what's going to happen? Like, it's like, highly, I was like, is there drinking? Is that a good idea? I was like, probably not a good idea, actually.
Yell at
I
each
don't
other.
know. I'm getting drunk. Somebody's gonna be angry.
You've changed things.
Yeah.
Forever.
So anyway, go check that out, though. You can go watch our match against each other. Patreon, Schmodown. It's not Patreon.
Patreon.com/the/Schmodown or /Schmodown. Isn't it on
I think
there?
it's just gonna be public. You can just watch it.
Will it?
Our match?
By next Monday?
By the time this airs.
All right, this whole time heist thing. I understand why they had such a hard time in Endgame now.
So anyway, guys, that's kind of all the things. Check out patreon.com/teamaction if you want exclusive content. Big shout out to JLo up in the booth. She's producing the show today.
And she's dealing with our incoherent babbling.
Yeah. How are you, JLo? Nope. She can't talk to us, maybe, so
So she gave us a buzzer.
I got a buzzer.
I do appreciate the buzzer,
Nice.
JLo.
Okay.
Yeah, JLo took over. We had Marissa Serafini obviously in the booth for years,
Yeah.
and then our good friend Jeff Graham took over for a little while. It
Yeah.
seems like JLo is going to be up there, and she's been doing an incredible job. And JLo, I hope you're almost ready for the Action Guys Summarize, because that is one of our segments. But first, let's get into our thesis statement.
Yes. I'm going to throw to you first on this one. Oh, wait, actually, no. That's not what I'm doing.
What?
Because we collectively have a thesis statement.
We do.
That's the first time this has ever happened.
Yeah. And this is really interesting because, like, Ben sat down. He's like, I was talking to Jeff, and I had like a really, would you say, like an extreme thought?
I was like, I had kind of a crazy thought that I like had never really said out loud before and doesn't really make any sense.
And I was like, oh yeah, me too. But wait, first tell me yours, because I want to say, yeah. So go ahead.
So like historically, Drew and I, this is almost 200 shows. So we've done for 4 years, we've done shows about action movies, action movie anatomy. And it has become clear to Drew and myself, we do not like action movies.
Yeah, like strictly action movies are not our bag, baby.
I don't think they're bad.
Yeah.
I don't hate them. But I think to clarify what we're saying, because I know that's like kind of blasphemous, I think, for a long time, Drew and I have said now, the moments between the action are our favorite parts of our favorite action movies, right? So when we love the confrontation in The Rock, General Hummel and all that, like it's the talking and it's the delivery and it's the actors, right? Like
because it raises the stakes. It makes those moments of the action have so much weight to them. Whereas in John Wick 3, specifically, they set you up so great. For the first 45 minutes of this movie, you're like, oh my God, this is everything I've ever wanted in a John Wick movie. The stakes are really high. There's a ton of intrigue. You have no idea really what's going on. You want to know what's next.
Right.
And the action that comes in between early on really does have you on the edge of your seat, because Keanu gets fucked up in these movies regularly.
I feel like, I feel like we have to back off that statement, because thinking about like Fury Road, that is a pure action movie. That's what that movie is, and we love it.
Yes.
So
yes.
I don't think it's fair to say that we don't like action movies, because I think what we don't like are movies that are unnecessarily dependent on the action as the only thing to make them interesting.
Yeah.
And
like mindless action movies.
yeah, like This movie is 2 hours and 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah, 2 hours and 2 hours and 10 minutes.
And it feels like the first John Wick that was like an hour 40 is about as long as you need a John Wick movie to be.
And that movie's like, you know, it's been a few years now. That movie's pretty friggin' perfect for an action movie.
Yeah, like I don't even think that John Wick 1's an above average movie.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's necessarily a better movie than 2 or 3. It's just that it's a shorter movie. So you don't start to focus on the things that are dragging or the things that are like kind of absurd as much.
Yeah, and you haven't seen the character before, so you're not trying to. There's a lot of inventing and reinventing in 2 and 3 from the first one. You know, like honestly, the end of this one felt a lot like the beginning of number 1.
Yeah.
Where it was like, you know, he's in his house and you have the really sweet like mansion fight scene, gunfight scene.
Yeah.
Kind of felt like the end of this movie was kind of repurposing the beginning of the first one.
Yeah.
You know, and like it's not that it wasn't sweet in this.
Yeah.
In 3. It was just the first time we saw it, and 1 was like, oh my God, mind blown.
It's still, I think, my favorite sequence in all 3 movies is him in the house at the beginning.
Oh, it's incredible.
It's like, because it's like super simple, and he takes on like 12 guys.
Yeah.
And it's all like the fighting with their guns and the like.
It's like gun fu again.
Yeah, from Equilibrium.
Equilibrium.
Yeah, the gun kata.
Do you know who the bad guy is in Equilibrium?
I think I do, but I'm not going to give you that information in case the question comes up.
I won't answer it either.
Watch, it's going to be in the match.
It is. Yes!
Isn't Tate Diggs?
Is it?
I think it is.
It is Tate Diggs.
Yeah. He was famous at one point. But yeah, like I don't really know what it is about the final hour of this movie that started to lose me. But somewhere in the last hour of this movie, it was like, I think I leaned over to you literally 25 minutes before the movie was over, and I was like, for the final fight, and I was like, what the hell are they going to show us now?
Yeah, like where can they go from here?
Like, he's killed so many people with perfect headshots.
Yep.
He's used all the guns and weapons.
All the weapons, all the guns, car fights, motorcycle fights, swords, knives,
Like, he's
explosives.
So what's it going to be now? And it was like, all right,
Dogs.
So you get like, the armor is so strong that he has to shoot people like 9 times each, and so then he gets like a crazy shotgun to like blow their heads up.
Yeah,
which was
yeah.
like sweet.
It's pretty sweet. Like once they actually got to the armor-piercing shotgun rounds, I was like, okay, I'm into this. Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that's like sweet. Like that's the thing is, the parts that were great before it starts to get redundant are still great. Like,
Yeah.
the first 25 like has all the stuff you want. Like he fights the giant in the library.
Yeah, he fights a giant in the library. He kills like this giant with a book.
It's sweet.
It's so, and the way that he actually executes him is so awesome.
Oh, the neck on the
yeah,
book.
the neck on the book, and you're just, are you sure this is how you want to go?
And the throwing knives and the like armory from GoldenEye, basically.
Which was pretty great. The thing that I loved about this, we saw a screener, I guess a week ago now. And there was, 7 of us or 6 of us in the theater, really, because it was in a smaller screener.
Weird experience, actually.
Yeah, it was really weird.
I mean, normally, so you guys don't know this, but like, so press screenings work that the bigger the movie, the bigger the theater, right?
Yeah.
At the highest level, we go to the Disney lot. We go see
Yeah.
Endgame at Disney, right?
Yep.
Like that's, a step below that is going to be a theater like the El Capitan, like a really big theater-style theater where you go see. And then, you have Century City, and these are like major AMC style, like huge theaters. And that's where you're going to see most of the big budget stuff. Now, you get into the smaller stuff, there's a bunch of screening rooms. There's probably 6 or 7 in LA that seat anywhere between like 20 and 50 people.
Right, we saw like Unsane, and we saw Arctic, and what was the McConaughey one? I can never remember. Serenity. What is it called?
Yeah, Serenity. That was like at
a
a
different
private screening
one,
room
but
at a
yeah.
production company. So they're small. Usually it's a bunch of you, it's just a bunch of critics packed in, and the bigger the movie, the more people get invited.
I was surprised that this one was where it was at.
Yeah, this is a Lionsgate movie, and they must have had a deal with this screening room, but it was strange. There was, because the main screening that everyone I knew went to was last week.
Right.
And I think that must have been the big screening at Century City or something. But this one was the smallest room I've seen a movie of this size in.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big release. It's a
and
big
it's a
movie.
big action movie.
Yeah.
It was strange to watch this with 6 people.
But what was sweet was during that first fight, the knife throwing part, is we were all laughing out loud, like giddy joy.
Yeah.
Of him just destroying person after person, just like 5 knives at a time, like knife. It was like there was something wonderfully comical about that knife fight, but also incredibly badass.
Yeah, so I think this is probably a good time for us to transition because we've been spottily talking about what happens in the movie to our next segment, which is the Action Guys Summarize.
Yes.
So our thesis was basically just, I don't even know what our thesis is because I don't actually believe it. I just think that...
Yeah, it's not that we don't like action movies. I think it's... Yeah, what is it?
It's that movies that rely so heavily on redundant action are exhausting, and as people who watch like a movie a day, basically, I just can't do it. It's like it loses me. I don't know. It's like
unless the action is so innovative, right? Because like even watching The Raid, the Raid Redemption, that didn't ever wear on me. But then when I go back and rewatch it over and over and over, it does. I do get a little bit of that feeling just because it's not new anymore.
Yeah, right.
It's
also like weird to watch something that's just so violent and so much killing.
It is incredible. So I was just on Sending the Wolf.
Yeah,
I did that with Clark Wolf, and we talked about The Matrix, and I think that'll probably air next week or something like that. But she was saying how. Because she's only seen The Matrix twice.
Yeah.
She was saying how at the very end when we get to the lobby scene, which I actually brought up saying that, the lobby scene is one of the greatest like shootout scenes ever in a movie. It's like that and Heat and, there's a few of them. And she was like, yeah, it was super badass. But like one thing I was thinking about was like how incredibly kind of positive it is for gun violence in our culture, which is not a good time with, everything. Last week, 2 school shootings, literally last week.
I mean, when that movie came out, that
Columbine happened,
and they blamed that movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Trench coats were banned. You probably couldn't wear them in your schools either. I couldn't wear them in mine. And I was like listening to her talk about it, and I was like, yeah, it is interesting because The Matrix takes itself very seriously. It's not just a mindless action movie. It is like a true action drama that is supposed to make you think about more.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I guess now if The Matrix came out, maybe that lobby shootout scene would be different. Maybe it would be more like hand-to-hand combat, more knives, less guns. I don't know. But then John Wick, I go and watch the next day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit.
Well, there's also a lot less blood. There's like no blood in The Matrix.
Yeah, there's like no blood in The Matrix. There's an endless amount of blood in this movie. And yeah, it's like incredibly violent.
Yeah.
Like beyond, I mean, like, for instance, you've got a guy who's a super assassin who is trying to save his bullets.
Yeah.
But he'll shoot a guy like 20 times in the head when he knows that he's about to run out of bullets.
Yeah.
And then he has to kill the next guys with his hands or something.
Right.
Do you think the violence was too much?
It's not too much. It just gets intoxicating.
Right.
Like, and that's why this movie being as long as it is problematic because like it's just such like sensory overload. It's like more satisfying to see a few people die than to watch like
that's interesting.
in like the big scene with him and Halle Berry, they kill like
50
60 people with all headshots, and it's just a lot of the same execution over and like I almost think from like Stahelski like doing this movie, how do you get excited about choreographing and executing every single one of those headshots because there's so many and they're so fast? It's like it's got to take you half a day to do one of those shots.
I mean, I feel like Stahelski is probably in the same boat that you and I were in when you leaned over and you were like, where are they going to go from here? I bet he's sitting there being like, shit.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? Which is why I think I actually do tip my hat to the armor-plated SWAT team at the end because it actually added a depth or like a new type of fighting to where like, okay, bullets now only stun people.
Yeah.
And if I want to kill them, I need to find the the chink in their armor.
The bigger round. Yeah. So, all right, guys, we're going to get into the Action Guys Summarize. It's 2 minutes, 20 seconds each. So we get a total of...
Do we do 2 minutes? I thought we only did 2 minutes for Endgame.
I think it just worked better.
Okay.
1 minute's just
right.
not enough time.
All right. That's fair.
Yeah.
Last time Steph and I, we struggled.
In 1 minute?
In 1 minute.
Yeah. It's not great.
Talk about Deadpool. It was real rough.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do 2 minutes, 10 seconds each.
Yeah. So JLo's gonna throw up the buzzer timer for us every 20 seconds.
Yep. And I've got a timer, a stopwatch here. Would you like to start, or would you like me?
You can start. Getting going.
3, 2, 1. So the movie opens and John Wick is running and he's bleeding. He's bleeding and he's running and it's raining. And you're like, oh my God, what has happened, John? How did you get yourself in this situation? But you love that you're right there in the action.
So then John is like, it's 20 seconds, but so John is like, I'm just gonna ramble. We're gonna extend the thing. You're gonna start over at where you left off now.
Okay, so then he's running and he's trying to figure out what's happening, and like, oh, John Wick is gonna be excommunicado in 20 minutes. You're like, oh my God, John Wick is gonna get excommunicado. First of all, you know he's gonna survive.
So John is going to survive because he goes and he finds this doctor and he's like, hey man, let me in. The guy's like, I shouldn't be talking to you. John's like, let me in. So he's like, fix me. You have a couple minutes. The guy's like, great, take these pills. They're on the shelf. So John takes them. And the guy's like, you have to shoot me because they're going to know that you were here. So John shoots him twice. The guy's like, shit. So then John leaves and he gets on a horse, I think. And a horse kicks this dude in the head and his head like blows up and there's a bunch of assassins.
Yeah. So he's like running around and he like gets to a barn and there's a bunch of horses around. Like Ben is saying, you realize, okay, so the horses have now become the killing machine. So he gets on the horses and he's running away and he's trying and he gets to some place and he's like, look, you need to give me another chance. You need to give me more time. I don't really remember what happened in this moment, but I know in this moment right here
so
and then.
John is like you trained me, Mom, or something. It's Angelica Houston. And then you see all these ballerinas and then John gets a passage to Casablanca and Halle Berry's there and she's like, you saved my daughter one time, so I'll help you. And she has these dogs and they go see this other guy and I recognize the actor, but I can't think who he was.
Yeah.
And they kill all these people and the dogs bite the dicks a bunch of times. They bite a lot of dicks.
Yeah, so he bites a lot of dicks, but first they bite the main dick of the main bad guy who shoots the dog, but he shoots the dog in its bulletproof vest. And then Halle Berry looks at Keanu and Keanu's like, no, don't do it. And then she does it and goes crazy and there's a massive shootout and then it's like, oh, at the very end you got to walk to the middle of the desert until you're about to die, and then when you're about to die you got to walk 10 more miles and then he will find you.
And the Sheik from Taken shows
got 8
up
seconds
and he's
to
like,
finish the whole movie.
And he's like, if you work for me and kill people for the rest of your life, we extended the time.
Right.
You can see your wife again, except that's not really what happens. And then John's like, sure, I'll do it. So he goes to kill Ian McShane. Then Asia Kate Dillon has been like putting out markers on all these people.
She's an adjudicator.
Yeah. Wick goes back to
and then Ian McShane and the adjudicator. Oh, so the adjudicator comes in and she kills Lawrence Fishburne and she takes over for Ian McShane. And then Ian McShane puts his whole hotel on lockdown, and he's sitting there drinking an absorbent amount of brandy or scotch, getting shit-faced drunk, while Keanu and the guy from The Wire go and kill everyone in these bulletproof vests.
We spent too much time.
Oh God!
If that didn't give you a sense of the movie, I don't know what will.
There's a lot more that happens.
We just lost all our viewers.
There's like 40 more minutes of the movie.
If you asked me to do that in 5 minutes, I probably still couldn't.
I'm sweating.
I'm exhausted. So that was the Action Guys summarize. Sometimes,
and if you don't know what happened, you're an idiot.
Sometimes it's more successful than other times. All right, guys, we're getting into the next part of the show. This is Fist Pump Moment. It's the greatest moment in the film. It's the moment where you look around, you're just like, are you seeing this right now? This is so awesome. I'm so hyped. You want to call your buddy and tell him to turn the movie on to an exact time code to watch the scene with you. Do you have one?
Yeah, I do. And it was almost the fact that we were all giddily laughing in the theater like children.
Yeah.
I love that. It was like a very widespread demographic of people between the 7 of us. It was very, very different, age and race and everything. It was fascinating to find us all giggling at that. But it is the moment when the dog bites the main dick.
Yeah.
I love it. I love
it.
You
have a dog. You love dogs.
I do. I also realized that since owning my dog over the last couple months, which I've owned dogs before, but having another one, I really loved every moment with the dogs.
Yeah,
Even when it got like a little redundant and long, I was like, Snickers could do that.
Yeah.
Which he couldn't.
Dogs are ferocious.
They are. The dogs are super badass, and I love her commands. I love the whole fight with the dogs is super sweet, and like them like flying. Like, because those dogs are clearly doing what they're doing. Yeah. You know, it's like they're not CG dogs.
The one dog like jumps up the wall. That's probably CG.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
It's like a 14-foot jump.
Huge jump.
Yeah. You were like, Snickers could do that.
Snickers could do that. But yeah, it's the fact that the dude just shoots the dog, and you're like, oh God, again. And then you realize the dog's alive, right? It's been caught in the bulletproof vest. You're like, oh, it's alive.
I didn't even realize what the thing she was looking at was.
Yeah. It happens so quick.
Yeah.
But then the fact that she's like, no, fuck this. I'm going to go nuts. And Keanu's like, all right, I get it. I've been there. You know?
I get it.
Which he actually says. Yeah, I get it. And and then the dog goes and bites the dude that shot him. And then she shoots him in the knee. And he gets exactly what he needed.
Yeah.
His comeuppance.
Yeah. This movie has it's so many like crazy ridiculous moments.
The one thing about the whole like dogfight moment thing was once they got away from the top terrace, and they got into like the inner workings of the complex, and there was like a pillow factory in there.
Oh yeah.
That was when I was like, all right, guys, like these are just stunt pillows for like the dog. You know what I mean? Like it was like dog's gonna run up here, it's gonna jump across these pads that are set up, and it's gonna hit the guy, and he's gonna fall on the pad.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like an obstacle course set up for the animals.
Yeah, I think executing this movie has to
It'd be so hard.
It seems so crazy, the choreography that goes into it.
It's just relentless.
It's relentless. Yeah, because that's the thing about it is it's almost sensory overload. There's too much. Like I was thinking about like the motorcycle sequence later in the movie.
I was just gonna mention that,
and it's almost lost on me because like like that sequence in itself in any other movie is like a highlight. Holy shit, that was
like,
crazy.
This is the chase. Yeah,
and it's like in that movie, it's just like the thing that gets you from one place to the next place. And I guess like I can't even really remember what happens.
There's like a part where he puts his guy's arm in the
something
the spokes or whatever you call it. That's what you
Yeah.
call on your bicycle,
Right.
And it like flips the bike, and the scene is sweet.
I like when he was on the horse and he took out the two motorcycle guys.
Yeah,
And he
Yeah.
leans off the horse. That was
Yeah.
pretty sick. I think though my fist pump moment is the knife fight sequence with the throwing knives.
Oh, early, yeah. So the part that I'm talking
The
about,
guy's like gurgling, and like Wick from like 25 feet away just picks up a machete or it's like a hatchet,
it's a massive like battle axe almost.
and he just like fucking hurls the hatchet like 40 feet into the side of the guy's head, just so the guy can't get up. Like that was just like unreal, unbelievable.
And it happened within like 20 minutes of the movie starting. So you're like, oh my god, if this is how this starts, then how the hell are we gonna end this thing?
Yeah, it was sweet. Like, and that's the thing is like this. I almost think it's most effective in the first movie because a lot of the craziest stuff they only do a couple times, but they also didn't have the time, the money, any of the resources to make the first movie like the second or third. And it's like by the time the second and third movies happen, they obviously have to heighten. There's a lot of world building, and I think that's one of the things that I really want to talk about, actually. So let's get into star profiles really quickly, and we can kind of go through it. And when we get into production development, we can talk a little bit about that stuff.
So it's weird because there's actually like 5 people we should be talking about, but we're actually just going to talk about Keanu and Halle because we have other segments focusing on them. So Keanu Reeves most recently did Replicas in 2018. I forgot that movie happened.
What is it?
Isn't it is it a remake? Or is it just like it's like a sci-fi something? I completely forgot that movie existed. 2018, Replicas, Destination Wedding, and Siberia. So here's the thing about Keanu that's really interesting right now is that like he's become the Chuck Norris of this generation. He just is. Like he's a badass. Everyone loves him. He's got all these incredible stories and memes circulating the internet about how he's just the coolest, nicest dude ever. He'll like give you the jacket off his back. He'll pull over on his motorcycle and help you when your car's run out of gas. He'll give up his seat on the subway. These are all things that he's been documented doing.
He's
and
a folk hero.
He's a folk hero. And even Clark Wolf was telling me, like, the 2 times she's met him, one behind the scenes and one as an interview, she was just like, he's just the coolest, nicest dude. Like, you want him to be successful. I don't even care that I don't know what these movies are. I don't care if he ever does, if he does like 50 more movies in his lifetime and 2 of them are good, I'm totally cool with it.
Keanu came on the scene in the mid 80s. He broke out in the late 80s with Bill and Ted, because you go to like Youngblood, like that hockey movie is The Goalie. That's like 86 probably, like River's Edge, like, Parenthood. He plays Todd. He's one of the sons, like, or the boyfriend. So by the late 80s, he's kind of breaking out, and he does Bill and Ted, and then he gets Point Break in 91. That's the big genre change. Bigelow fought for him really hard to be the star of the movie, and she wanted him to play an action role, and so from there, he gets Speed, and he goes on to kind of own the 90s in like, just in terms of like, he's in Speed, and he's in like Johnny Mnemonic, and he's in Chain Reaction, and right, like they were just trying to throw him into whatever. He was in everything. I think he's in like Midsummer Night's Dream, maybe.
I think he's in there too.
He's in one of the Shakespeare movies. And then, of course, The Matrix happens in 99.
Yep.
And so, Keanu spends about 10 years ascending from Bill and Ted through The Matrix. He does 2 Matrix sequels, and through probably the mid-2000s, he's pretty famous. Like, he's like an A-list star. Sometime in the mid to late 2000s, like, for whatever reason, he just sort of started to sag off. He did like a bunch of movies that weren't very good. He did like a bunch of movies that no one cared about. Like, remember he did like 47 Ronin?
Yeah.
And like,
I'm pulling up his filmography right now.
Because I remember when he shows up as the boyfriend in Something's Gotta Give. I remember like, oh, this is interesting. Like, Keanu's in an ensemble movie as like this like kind of attractive boyfriend character.
Right.
But, Jack and Diane Keaton are the stars. You know, Keanu's role in this movie is about as significant as Amanda Peet's role in this movie. Like, he's not starring. And I remember he did The Lake House.
Yeah, so he does The Lake House in 2006.
Right.
Then he does Street Kings. And then he does The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is just like bad movie after bad movie after bad movie.
That's the era that I can remember. Street Kings is the era where I was like, okay, he's still getting like big movies where this movie's opening with him on the cover, but people aren't watching him and people don't care.
Same with the next two movies, which is Henry's Crime and Generation that's what it's called. Generation And then after that is Man of Tai Chi, 47 Ronin, and then John Wick.
So he has it seems like he has about 5 or 6 years there where he was like kind of in the wilderness. He just like wasn't really a thing.
Yeah, it was just like, well, Keanu's famous enough, we'll put him in this movie because we can't get anyone else.
But then John Wick came out, and it wasn't like John Wick was supposed to be a big deal. It wasn't like Keanu was supposed to be like the new Liam Neeson. He just kind of did that movie, and it was a really like surprise hit, and his career kind of took off again.
Yeah, because I didn't see it in theaters.
Yeah.
I didn't see it till almost a year later. I mean, didn't we cover it with Kathy Kelly like a long time ago? Is that
First John
or is that
Wick?
Casino Royale I'm thinking of?
Casino.
Yeah.
Steph Z
Maybe Steph?
came on for the first John Wick probably
Yeah,
years
then
ago.
now you look at his career and it's like, oh wow, okay, so he does John Wick 3, 2019 obviously, and then Always Be My Maybe, which I don't really know what that is. And then Toy Story 4 and Bill and Ted's Face the Music. So it's like,
And there's a 4th Matrix movie coming out.
oh right, that was just announced,
Keanu's coming back.
which is fascinating.
Yeah, which actually I'm not even sure if that's been made public. Is that public? Do people know that?
I don't know.
I feel like people know that.
I feel like how did you hear about it?
It got confirmed by Chad, I thought, but then maybe the statement got retracted or something.
Huh. Yeah, I'm not positive.
Yeah.
So all that being said, oh wait, that's Keanu. So let's do Halle Berry really quick. So Halle Berry in 2017, she does Kidnap, Kings, and Kingsman: The Golden Circle, which is funny because I've actually seen 2 of these 3 films. I've seen Kidnap.
I watched Kings.
Oh, you did?
I had to watch Kings. I reviewed it last year. Right? Or did I just make that up?
You just made that up so you could say you've seen 2 of them also.
No, I have seen Kings. I reviewed Kings. Wow. I was drinking a lot last year.
Oh wow, Kidnap is NC-17 and it's got a 37% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's the one where her daughter gets taken. It's like Taken, except it's her.
Yeah, and she's
right?
like driving on the freeway all the time and like going to.
She's like, "Do not take my daughter."
Yeah,
right.
I believe that is in the film.
Yeah.
Except for, is it his son? It's her son, I think.
You sure?
Sage Korea, Frankie? I don't know. I honestly, I don't really remember this movie at all. I remember like watching parts of it and being like, okay, this is okay, but I'm not really on board, and it just kind of peters out. You know, it's a pretty B list.
What's Halle's career from 2012 to 2017 is the question.
Yeah, so, and then that'll get us into over under proper on Halle Berry.
Call is in there somewhere, right? Isn't The Call?
Is that a horror movie?
No, isn't that the movie she gets a call and someone's in trouble?
Yeah.
She's like a phone operator?
Yeah, when a 911 veteran operator takes a life. Yeah, no, she literally gets a phone call in 2013. So if you look at, God, I guess, honestly, I guess A Perfect Stranger was the last like kind of notable thing she did.
What is that?
Because that's the one with her and oh wait, no, I'm thinking of Enough. A Perfect Stranger is the one with her and Willis. No, it's her and Willis.
Okay.
Yeah. So The Perfect Stranger is her and Willis. She goes undercover, and it's like she's trying to catch Bruce Willis for being, I can't remember. So that's in 2007. She does Things We Lost in the Fire and Frankie and Alice over the next 3 years.
Wow.
Isn't another movie till 2011? She's in New Year's Eve.
Okay, so she did one of those guys.
Yep. Dark Tide 2012, Cloud Atlas in 2012.
Okay, yeah.
The Call, X-Men, Days of Future Past.
Sure.
And then Kidnap, Kingsman. So
she really, for the last 5 or 6 years, it seems like actually since Cloud Atlas, since 2012, so she does Cloud Atlas, she does an X-Men movie, but then other than that, like, she's not even acting very much.
No.
She's kind of taking a little time off, it seems like.
Yeah, she's... I mean, I think people just got tired of her.
Or she
got tired of it.
It seems like that she deliberately decided to take a little more time off because the idea that isn't Halle Berry like 50? I feel like
she's got to be, and she could have gotten super burnt out after the late 90s 2000s run.
Yeah, because I think I'm pretty sure Halle Berry's like 50, and she may be 50 on the dot.
52.
She's 52. God damn, she looks great for 52.
She looks incredible.
That's ridiculous. But she, like Kingsman and this, they're big franchises that, like, for her to go be a part of, I feel like that's not like, oh, let's see what Halle Berry's up to. That's like, can we get Halle Berry? Is she interested in working? And probably like, yes, she's interested in working. Let's get Halle Berry for these franchises. That's a little bit more what it feels like. Because she just Kingsman and this movie alone makes me feel like she's A-list again.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the thing. Is do you do you think Halle Berry right now in Hollywood is overly sieged, underly sieged, or properly sieged? Where do you think she's at? And if you don't know, I think I know where I put her.
Go ahead.
I think she's properly sieged.
Okay.
I think she still can do it, and I know she's a great actress.
Yeah.
We've seen it. We've seen it so many times. You even see it in John Wick 3. It's just like, okay, if you need to have a hard emotional scene,
yeah,
let's have Halle Berry do it because she's the best actor in this movie, probably.
Yeah.
I just don't think she has that movie star charisma that we talk about, that where it's like, I just want to see Halle Berry doing stuff. I don't like the same way. I mean, because what, her and Charlize are around the exact same age.
I think she's probably 5 or 6 years older.
Okay. Yeah. So I care about what Charlize is doing. Yeah. I'm excited when I see her next movie. Like when Atomic Blonde came out, I was ecstatic.
Yeah, me too.
When her and I mean, and that was kind of but seeing her in John Wick 3, I was just like, okay. Whereas if Charlize was in John Wick 3, I would have been like, oh, hell yes.
Yeah.
You just couldn't do it because she was in Atomic Blonde. It would seem weird, but like, I don't know. I just don't care that much.
She was
good in this.
She did everything she was asked to do. She was cool. She was badass. She was great. She executed the action perfectly.
Yeah.
Even like her one scene, though the scene itself felt forced, she was fine. She was great.
Yeah, she did a great job.
Yeah, I think if I was going to answer the question, overly sieged, underly sieged, properly sieged, Halle Berry, I feel like my answer to the question is probably under sieged at this point. And I think the reason I would say so is because that career run we just talked about does not, to me, feel like somebody who was actively trying to work and failing. It feels like somebody who was like, I won my Oscar, I did the fame thing, I was in all these X-Men movies, I want to like chill a little bit and do some movies I want to do. So I look at like Kings, like it's a movie about the LA riots. It's like a pretty like a tough emotional role. I just think she's like, I want to be in the stuff I want to be in. And again, like 52-year-old woman executing that kind of action that convincingly, that's some tough shit, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. Like, I think she's a great actress. I think she's taking immaculate care of herself. And I think that the world, until last year, until Kingsman came out 2 years ago, just was like, Halle Berry's done. She's like kind of done. And I just think her ability to like step back in and just like, are you kidding? I still got it in spades if I want it. Makes me feel like the world still doesn't really realize that like Halle Berry could get the right role and win another Oscar tomorrow.
Yeah, she totally could. I wonder, I want to like go through and read this whole thing on her and like figure out exactly is it because she is hard to work with? Is it because she wanted to take time off? Is it because she's busy, you know, producing on BET? Like, what is it about Halle Berry that's keeping her from being in front of the camera? Because, you know, there is a lot of people that just are like, I want to move behind the camera. Bradley Cooper's in the process of doing it right now.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, so you have her under, I have her proper.
It's close, but I think so. Yeah, so let's move on a little bit more here just because we have a limited time and a few more segments I want to get to.
Yeah, so we production development here. The first film was always intended to be a franchise, and the third installment was announced in June of last year, and most of the cast was confirmed. I'm sure they were all very excited to get the work. Filming began in May of 2018, and it lasted through November, taking place in New York, Montreal, and Morocco. According to Count, the film's title was taken from the famous 4th century Roman military quote, "Sivi pacem parabellum," which means if you want peace, prepare for war, which is actually my favorite line. I didn't know that was that, but Brandon Hanna, our producer, did some awesome research for us. So, Brandon, thank you.
Nice work, Brandon.
Nice work, Brandon. And then this movie was directed by Chad Stahelski.
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 Chris Skalicki. So, did you speak with Chris this week, by the way?
I haven't responded to his message yet.
This would have been 2 weeks ago.
I haven't responded yet.
Oh, really?
No.
Huh, interesting.
When you're popular in the Schmodown and a celebrity, you can do what you want. When you're trying to win, you have to get things in on time.
This is clever. It's
Yeah.
funny.
No,
You're
it's just
talking
true.
smack after I beat you, so this is
Actually,
a good look.
You're getting red. Why don't you read the damn segment?
So yeah, Chad made his directorial debut doing the first John Wick. He had previously served as Keanu's stunt double, and kind of as part of this generation we have now of this last like 5 to 10 years of this new era action movie.
Yeah.
And I would say, you know, from this movie is written. Who's it written by? Where's it?
It's written by
Derek Kolstad.
Yeah.
Okay. So the writing in this movie is interesting because what sets this franchise apart from like The Equalizer and Taken, and you know, Atomic Blonde doesn't have a second installment yet, but I think there's another one coming. Yeah. What sets it apart is that they're really interested in this big world building. They really like the idea of this like assassin's world on the high table, and the third movie really leans into it. All the rules and stuff. And
yeah, the second one like really starts down the path, and the third one is just like we are deeply entrenched.
And what's really interesting about it is that I actually think there was way more opportunity to make this movie a drama, like that had great action,
Same.
as opposed to an action movie that has a little bit of drama.
Well, because that's what it felt like in the first hour.
You find out that, like, you know, Wick comes from somewhere. This is where his training came from, and like this is kind of his surrogate mother. You find out that, like, okay, he has a history with Halle Berry. At one point, like, she came to him as another assassin. He saved her daughter. Like, that's really interesting. Okay, there's these markers, and like you cash these in, and the high table, and here's the rules, and you know, this like Russian organization has an agreement with the high table, and the Continental, and all the, like, you know, the whole entire backstory.
The Continental and sacred ground, and you know, deconsecrated ground, and all that stuff is like fascinating. Like, he literally has to put his hand on the steps. $15 million.
Yeah.
And that guy just could kill him, but he just can't. Breaking the rules.
And so for whatever weird reason, I don't even think it's a weird reason. I just think it's like, okay, this is an action franchise that has succeeded because of its excessive action.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't just like heighten even more from the second movie, then this movie won't work.
Were you gonna say you just don't see why they didn't lean into the story?
I just wish they had. I wish, like, the Keanu in his best moments is actually a good actor.
Yeah.
And I wish that he had more moments.
They don't give him enough lines.
He has like 19 lines.
I know, that was one thing I realized. I was like, they just don't ever let him talk.
No.
And when they do, they're punchlines. They're action movie, you know, 90s action movie punchlines, which is like, again, the first hour of this movie is so incredibly intriguing. You want to know everything that's going on, and like the motivation behind Keanu and the motivation behind everyone. And they don't really ever give it to you. And if they do, it's very much just like because he wants to.
Yeah, I mean, the major motivation of why are you fighting so hard to stay alive, and it's like to preserve the memory of my dead wife, and I'm gonna cut my finger off, go into service for the most evil organization in the world, and kill for you for the rest of my life, so that I can miserably live with one less finger killing for you, so I can remember my dead wife. So I can just
have the memory of my wife.
Which is like, I don't really buy it.
I don't either. You would think someone like John Wick, who has been doing this for so long, he's felt so much pain, he would just be like, I'll just kill myself and just go and be with my wife.
Like, the one part about,
or I'll give up.
The thing about this that I like, the missed opportunity, and see, that's the thing, is like, if we really break this down, 1 second. Hey, JLo. I know you can't respond to me because you don't have a mic, but you can just give me 2 bells if this answer is yes. This timer that we have here, if we go 10 minutes past it, we're fine, right? We're just going into the next tape time. Great. Okay. So it's
like the diving bell and the butterfly.
Yeah. Wait, how did you just talk to me? What just happened?
We can hear her. I don't think the audience can hear her.
The audience can hear her. Terrific. Okay.
It's his first show.
Yeah. So you could have literally not had Larry Fishburne, the gap in his teeth, or Halle Berry in this movie, and the movie would have been the same movie.
The exact same.
You don't need any of it.
You don't.
You actually, he could have gone to Casablanca. He could have been given immunity by this guy who somehow knew he was coming.
He could have helped that guy before he could have had the token.
He could have found a dog in the street who followed him because he's great with dogs, and now he's like, great, I have a new dog.
Or just kept his dog from the beginning that he sent to the Continental.
Yep, he takes the dog up top. The guy's like, your dog is cute, and he's like, maybe the guy's abusive, and he's like, you can't have my dog. John doesn't spare him. He just kills the guy because that's what John would do.
That's what John Wick does.
The guy never comes back anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then John Wick leaves, and he doesn't have a car with Halle in it, but he just like fights his way out and drives out.
And then the guy also still tells him to go to the desert and walk forever. And then we've just cut out 20 minutes of the movie.
Same can be said for all the Larry Fishburne stuff, which is just like, what the hell? And he like gets slashed 7 times with swords. The guy's not in particularly great shape. Like, I don't know how he survives.
I know, and they're gnarly cuts.
Yeah.
Like, you're sure he's dead.
At the end, he's just alive.
He's just alive.
And Rafi just like brings,
Rafi brings John Wick back. I love that we just call him Rafi. I love that Rafi and Morpheus are hanging out in this movie.
I'm pretty sure Jason Mantzoukas will forever and always live just be Rafi.
I love him.
Yeah.
He's so great.
He's great.
So that being said, do you buy or sell on John Wick? Like, it is clearly set up for a fourth film. It ends with him like holding up a bloody hand saying, "I can hear you," and then he flips around the middle finger, and then Lawrence Fishburne gives a monologue about being pissed off and his teeth. And then the movie ends.
I hated the ending.
Well, because I leaned over to you and I go, wait, are they seriously going to go back to the Continental and deal with Asia and deal with Ian? And that's impossible. That's another 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the movie ends.
I was like, I'm not compelled to watch a fourth John Wick movie. If like they pick up where they left off and it keeps going, my answer is I'm selling hard.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think John Wick 3 is going to make a lot of money. I think
It's got a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's the only, we're going to skip box office and critical because there's nothing out yet. It's got a 95% on the tomato meter from our friends.
Yep. I mean, everybody I know loved this movie. I feel like we're more down on this movie than anyone I know.
And I don't understand why, because we are the perfect type of people to love this movie.
Like, I didn't dislike it. I just found it to be like,
fine. 70%, 68%.
yeah, it's
right
about
around
what
there.
I'd give it.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, it's going to make a shitload of money because this franchise is successful and it's a big moment and, like, people have been waiting for it. People love John Wick.
People love Keanu. I love Keanu.
Me too. And so it's going to make a lot of money, and I think they'll make a fourth John Wick movie. The thing is, I don't want to see it. What are they going to do in a fourth John Wick movie that's different than what they did in the third? Because all they did in the third movie was be like, there's more world, but we're just going to have it as the backdrop. We're not actually going to like invest in the world. We're just going to like have it as the backdrop of the painting, and he's just going to do the same thing he did in the second one.
Look, when Chad watches this episode, I'm sure that he will go back to the drawing board for John Wick 4 and put in more of the drama in the story, because that was so compelling.
It
was so good. And the fact that like they just kind of let it, like you said, they just kind of let it go. They don't really close a lot of the ends. They don't really finish it. They just leave a lot of open-ended things throughout. If they just paid attention to the story and keep those sweet action moments, because they don't need to keep heightening the action.
No,
it's fine. It's incredible.
I know what they're doing. They have to find ways to make it different.
Yes,
and there's plenty of ways to kill people with household items.
So that was the other thing I was thinking when I was watching. It was like, for the same reasons that Jason Bourne was awesome because of the simplicity behind what he does, it's like John Wick is awesome because of how extra he does everything.
Yeah, right.
I think they need to find a happy middle ground and go back, because again, our favorite two fights in the whole movie are done with a book and throwing knives.
And like, if you think about, you compare this to the other action franchises we mentioned, it's like, okay, so I didn't need Taken 2 or Taken 3. They didn't do anything different for me. Equalizer 2 was totally fine, just like it's a lot more of the same.
Jack Reacher 2
definitely didn't need that movie. What makes Mission Impossible 4, 5, and 6 so good? Other than the obvious, TC Legend.
Well, TC Legend. It's because I feel like TC has been in the future.
Yeah.
And he's like looked at all the things that they need to, he's like, okay, so while I'm filming MI3, I'm going to look in the future to MI9 and see what stunts we're doing then. And I'm going to gradually build the whole way. And I'm also going to do all of my own stunts. I think those are the two things. I think they have figured out a way to gradually heighten the action every time and do it new without being repetitive. And also, Tom Cruise doing his own stunts, it's not the fact that you're like, oh my God, that's cooler because Tom Cruise is doing his own stunts. That's cool for us that know that. A lot of people don't know that. What is so sick about it is the shots, the camera, the wide angle shots, the long tracking shots where you're like, that is a superstar celebrity on a motorcycle kicking and fighting and hitting his knee against the ground, scraping. You mentioned the motorcycle fight on the highway in Tokyo, or I believe it was, I can't remember. It's sweet, but it's all up close. And they're just on a track or they're on the back of like a vehicle and doing that thing because it's so close that like during that fight, the whole time I was thinking like, because Keanu's doing his best of like trying to pretend he's steering, but like Cruise is actually steering.
Yeah, right.
He's actually holding his breath. He's actually hanging on a plane. He's actually hanging outside of the building in the Burj Khalifa, you know?
And it's weird. Like it is thrilling to watch Tom Cruise do the stunts. And I know Keanu does a lot of his own stunts.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he does. He's pretty damn close in terms of like other actors that do that.
Yeah, and you can see some of them when he is riding the motorcycle.
But there's just something about the like, I don't know if it's the actors they cast or the fact that we get real emotional scenes in those movies. Like when the scene where Luther is talking to Rebecca Ferguson in Fallout, and he's like, the only time, and Ethan, like, there's only one woman that's ever made him do it, and there's only one other, and then like Cruise walks in, you're like, this is like good stuff.
It's a good dramatic moment.
You need to walk away. Don't make me go through. That whole scene, like those scenes are great.
And also at the end when he sees Michelle Monaghan and what's his guy? No, it's not Wes Bentley. Yeah, it is Wes Bentley. That's a great scene too.
Totally.
It's really, really well done.
And it's like somehow, and I mean, I guess it makes sense. You have Christopher McQuarrie versus Chad Stahelski, so it's like McQuarrie's a proper like dramatic storyteller. Stahelski's a former stuntman. Like that's
right. And the budget's got to be a lot crazier because you also got to think, you know, even things like in MI5, right? Yeah, in MI5 where he like climbs up the pole backwards with the handcuffs. You're like, that's cool enough for me for like at least the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, right.
That shit was nuts.
It's nuts.
Who even thought of that? Look at his abs. He's 100. You know, like it's just crazy. Yeah. So I don't know. What's your favorite line?
Oh, good.
I know.
I can't even honestly barely remember any of the lines in the movie.
He says like you said, he says under 20.
Shit.
And I just stole mine from the title.
Yeah, the
and
Parabellum line.
Yeah, I like that. You know, if you want peace, prepare for war.
Yeah, I didn't love the writing in this movie.
It's not very good. I mean, the you could say the worst line if you want, which is, "Hey John, I'll catch up to you."
No, you won't. That was pretty unnecessary. I just was like,
just don't say anything. Just keep walking.
I don't know if this ever happens to you while you're watching a movie and the character says something and then you say the response and you're wrong. You're like, okay, good. They're smarter than you.
Yes.
And it's 90% of the time you're wrong because they're smarter than you.
Because they're writers and they get paid millions of dollars.
I was right. Twice in this movie. Twice in this movie I was correct.
Which is why we're not writers. What was the first one?
I can't remember. There was another one, though. There was another moment in the movie where somebody said something and I was like, yep. I knew you were. And then at the end when he says, I'll catch up to you, I was like, I was thinking to myself, I was like, there's no way he's going to say it.
Yeah, I was like, same. I was like, there's no way he's going to turn around and say anything. Don't do it. Oh, no.
No.
There it is.
Unbelievable. So, yeah, I didn't, favorite line, I'm going to pass.
You're going to pass on that?
I'm going to pass on that
That's
one.
all right. There are 3 action movie categories.
Totally ridiculous, totally legitimate, and ridiculously legitimate. This is an interesting one on this one. I think you got to say totally ridiculous.
I know. You do. Because, I think 2 was actually more ridiculously legitimate. And 1 was definitely ridiculously legitimate.
Yeah.
But 3 just feels just totally ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like all the opportunities that they gave you to lean into the world to make it a little more legit, they just kind of pissed on by just not really taking seriously that world.
Right, because the other thing too is that even though he's a superhero and even though he's the protagonist, the main character, you still want him to have to live by the rules of that world, right? Because that's the only thing that gives anything any stakes. Yeah.
It's like they couldn't come up with a. It's just weird in the third movie that they just didn't give him a more like a really. Can you imagine what if instead the story had been something like Halle Berry early on in the movie shows up and she helps him and they go after her daughter and now Keanu has to protect the daughter because he owes it to Halle Berry and so now the thing he has to do is stay alive.
Because she saved him instead.
And Halle Berry dies and now he has to protect Halle Berry's daughter and for a large portion of the movie he's protecting someone's life.
I'm already more interested in that movie.
Right, me
right?
too.
I would watch that.
It's him protecting his own life was just the stakes were fucking terrible.
Because you know he's not going to die.
Yeah, that was the biggest issue. It just was exhausting to watch him fighting and
just get hurt a lot.
Yes, it was exhausting. Anyway, all right, guys, there's only one last thing left to talk about, and that's called The Pitch. All right. This is right? Are you sure? 100%?
I'm pretty sure because we got what's airing today, which is the other one, Sherlock, which we can say because that was last week.
Yeah.
And then there's this episode, so that would make sense that there's this with the watch along.
Yep.
Yep. And my bow.
We are doing Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring next week. We're also going to be doing a watch along, I think. Hopefully, we have time to do it. We're going to try to schedule that for patrons. Patreon.com/Team Action. Everybody at the $10 level gets an invite to watch it with us. So I think we're going to be doing a Fellowship watch along probably a week after. Actually, it's probably going to be this week. Now that this airing this week.
And you know what's really exciting about this is I was pretty shocked at the amount of our patrons that weren't super excited about us covering this.
Yeah.
They were like, either they don't love it or they were like, well, I want them to cover something off-brand. You will adore Fellowship of the Ring after watching it with us.
I love this
We
movie so
love
much.
this movie so much. And Sean Bean, if you could join us, that would be amazing.
I can't wait.
So
I can't
great.
wait. So I think probably if I had to guess, we'll have to go confirm it, but if I had to guess, it will be the Sunday prior to actually covering this on the show.
Seems right.
Right? So it'll probably be the Sunday night. It might change, but the tentative date that I'm going to go off of right now is that would be the 19th, the 26th. That would be like June 2nd, probably.
Yep, June 2nd. We're getting a nod from Brandon on the couch, so I'm going to say
Sunday,
yes.
June 2nd at night is the tentative date we're going to go with to do the watch along for Fellowship of the Ring. So go get excited, get hyped, guys. Patreon.com/Team Action. And a big shout out to our generals in the Action Army: Andrew Hayes, Paul Denuzzo, Billy Belford, John Getz, John Patterson, and Billy Bedford. All right, guys. We salute you.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.